So I'm excited that you're here. We are going to take a road trip. When we think about going wherever we are going, I drove down this morning from Madison, we get excited and we think about all the fun things along our journey. But sometimes we may not prepare ourselves, and then sometimes along our journey we run out of gas, get a speeding ticket, maybe have a flat tire, or stall completely on the interstate. We find out that we can't MapQuest our lives because life is all about uncertainty. We find that there are going to be mountains to climb, potholes to sustain, dark, dark valleys to navigate out of. Along our way, we can be very lonely. I talk with a lot of women that say, I'm lonely in my own home. I'm lonely at work. I'm lonely in my relationships. When we have those times where we're in our deep, dark valleys, we need to have faith. We need to know that it'll all move forward. This too shall pass. But that's not always easy. Sometimes we stay in those deep, dark valleys longer than we would like. When we say to our friends and our family members, all's well, sometimes we realize that all really isn't well. 22 years ago, this March 30th, I lost my mom, and I wasn't prepared for it. We had just had our first son, Austin. He was 2 months old. And during the most happiest time of my life, I lost her. We went to the hospital, and it was too late. I didn't get to look at her and say goodbye, or look her in her eyes and say, I love you. She went into cardiac arrest during a heart catheterization, which was supposed to be a routine procedure. So they put her on life support, and we went into the ER, and I had Austin in my stroller, and I picked up this, her watch. And for hours, there's your watch, buddy, good. Yes. Fantastic. I was trying to erase time. I didn't want to say goodbye to her. So that night, my mother-in-law took our 2-month-old son home, and I, with my husband, drove to my mom's home. And that night, I tried to go to sleep. We had to stay and make all the funeral arrangements the next day. And if you've had any loss, you know how it is. There's no sleeping. You're totally out of sorts. So I got up and sat at her kitchen table, and within a few minutes, through many, many tears and huge gasps, I wrote the eulogy that I would read at her funeral a few days later. Having strength at her funeral came easy. I was trying to pay my mom respects because she was such a fabulous woman. And so we went back to our regular life. We had 2 more children. We moved 7 times in 8 years. We started many businesses. Life was busy, 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 busy. I wasn't allowing myself to feel. I was cutting my emotions off, which I think if we were to talk one-on-one, a lot of us do that. It's too painful to really connect with our emotions. But about 10 years after she passed, I needed to stop. I needed to just breathe, connect to how I was feeling, and put it all together. See, when we lose loved ones, or throughout losses of things in our lives, we can cope, we can understand, we can survive, But the thing that is most important is we have to thrive. We have to thrive. You can click a couple. And one more. This is my little book. So it's been chewed on by my puppy, sorry about that. And I pull it out every once in a while and I start reading it and I go, wow, that's really cool. That's good. That's really good. And then I remember I wrote it. In the back of the book, there are 10 things that I put together that helped me get my life back. At the time, and now this was 12 years ago, it helped me get my mojo back. 10 things of everyday life that if you apply them, I'm hoping that they work for you as well. So when I was asked to come here today, this was 3 weeks ago, I had to think about it. There was a lot going on in our lives at the time. So I was just letting it be out simmering. And then in the middle of the night, I took my dog out. He kind of looks like this, by the way. That's Bentley. And it was a clear sky and the wind was blowing. And as I turned to go in the house, I opened the front door. And I knew in an instant what I had to share with you today. And I know that if I could sit down and have coffee with each of you that are here, we could identify with one another. See, we might have loss of a loved one. Maybe you haven't had loss of a loved one yet. But we also have loss of physical abilities, loss of youth, loss of what was, loss of health, loss of sexual desire, loss of marriage, loss of home, loss of career, loss of income. But after we've had great loss and had maybe lost some of those things, we have to focus on ourselves, because the ultimate thing that you can lose in the process is the loss of yourself. So a few years ago, our son Austin was getting ready to graduate high school. And a woman that I know came up to me and she said, you know, I almost lost it when our children left for college. And at the time I thought, he's graduating high school, he's moving on, he's gonna do great. But then we took him to college. And 2 weeks later, I was curled up on his bed, sobbing. And when he would come home on weekends to visit, I would watch him back out of the driveway, and every time he backed out, a part of me was going with him. My doctor at the time said, you know, the perfect storm is happening for you. Because along with that, I went into menopause. I know there are gentlemen in the room, but couldn't sleep, rapid heart rate, I didn't know myself, you know, it was just, wasn't prepared for it. And then at the same time, I got vertigo. Vertigo, if you're not familiar with it, is you're spinning, right? So in the night, I would get up to use the restroom and I was bouncing it against the walls, and in the morning when I got out of bed, I would measure it like, is this a 1 or a 10? How bad is the vertigo? And then a few months after that, my baby that went to college fell, broke his leg, dislocated his ankle, had 4 surgeries, didn't walk for 10 months, and was left crippled. Our other son had shoulder surgery, and he went to college. I never wrapped my head around the fact that we raise our children to leave us. And I truly, when my family is broken and when my children are broken, I'm broken. I started taking out all the things I needed in my life. I stopped exercising. I stopped eating well. I started shutting out my friends. I didn't listen to music. I ended up having foot surgery. I could still dance though. But I had foot surgery and that just made all matters worse. I was struggling with 3 C's: conflict, closure, and change. Too much was happening all at once. So I found myself with severe anxiety, which I didn't realize I had, and depression. Sorry, I have to grab some water. So I hit rock bottom when I had to force myself to get out of bed, get some coffee, sit in my chair, and I looked out at a beautiful lake that we live on a beautiful sunny day, and I had no joy. I was emotionless. I was very, very empty. I was a woman that you see right now, right? I could spin 15 plates and tackle a long to-do list every day, day in and day out. And I didn't know what to do. I was scared, and what I realized is what many of us do. We pretend. I was the queen at putting this smile on. I was a great cheerleader, and I love people, so I was all about helping others. I didn't know how to help myself. I wrote in my journal, I never want to feel this bad ever again. I want my joy back, and I want to have ambition and a desire to do things. I'm tired of self-sabotage, self-hatred, and feeling unworthy. I was tired of saying, today's the day, only to feel horrible the next day. And then I would say, no, today's the day. And then I just did the same thing. And in my disconnecting, I was numbing my emotions, and I was building a stronger friendship with 2, Chardonnay and Cabernet. I gained weight, lacked energy, motivation. I felt unworthy. I had low self-esteem, and I felt helpless. And the more I would try to numb how I felt, the worse it got. So when there we go. This is how I get my act together, you guys. There's Bentley. I got myself a dog. It took me 11 years to finally convince my husband, or actually I finally got to the point where I thought, he's not gonna divorce me if I bring home a dog. So I got a dog. So I had to include him with today. So let's talk about how we thrive. First, it's not easy. It is hard. You have to be 100% committed to feeling better. And you have to focus on progress, not perfection. People would say, how are you feeling? I didn't know how I was feeling. I couldn't connect the emotions. So I started a journal, and I started writing down everything, right? You just need to write. No rules, just start writing, whatever. And eventually, it takes a while. You'll get to the crux of like maybe how you're feeling. So first thing, we have to be our best friend. What I found is that I wasn't being my best friend, and I was hurting the people that I loved the most, who were in my life. I had to be really honest, and I had to forgive myself and give myself unconditional love. I had to start being positive with myself. How many of you don't have to raise your hands, but if you get up in the morning and you say, I am so awesome, you're gonna you're really gonna have a great day, right? Versus, I'm such a loser. And then you walk around like defeated. So what you can like hit that superwoman pose, stand tall. But I started every morning praying, meditating, which you guys stick around because we're gonna have some fun with meditation in a little bit. I started looking for positive. If you open your eyes and you look around, there are so many blessings. It's overwhelming. And there are so many things that happen in your world that connect you to the next right place that you need to be. The trick is to look for them and be open to them. I tracked everything. So we have a gym. So at 50, I was teaching insanity classes. And it was easy for me because I was kind of crazy anyway. So now I teach mindful yoga. But I tracked everything. How I felt, what I ate, if I exercised, what I drank. I just knew that 100% I needed to be all in. And if I wasn't my best friend and I didn't think I was worth it, I would never do it. And I took steps forward only to like shuffle 20 steps back. And then I'd get up again and I would recommit. I'd listen to my positive messages. And literally, you guys, in the course of a 12-hour day-ish, 15-hour day, whatever it is, I probably listened to 7 hours of Joel Osteen, Gabrielle Bernstein. I mean, anything that would give me positivity. And the number one thing that I realized along all that is that there were other people that were feeling the same thing. We are real people with real issues and real problems. But if we bottle up and keep everyone at arm's length, we will not heal. Whoops, sorry. We will not heal, and we can't help others. If we don't become aware of our issues or whatever we want to tackle, we might overeat, overwork, and overextend. And in that process, we may find out that we're in a place we never wanted to be. Poor health, weight gain, increased self-doubt, negativity, and addictions of all sorts. You can go to the windshield. Yeah. So here's my little trick. If you I hope you're getting a lot out of this, but here's one thing when you get in your car to drive home. For me, because I had anxiety and overwhelm, if I looked ahead through my windshield, it was just too much for me. And I didn't want to look backwards in my rear view mirror because there was a lot of regret and remorse that I knew I didn't need to run from. But what I could do is I could look right and I could look left. And I could choose. I could take my power back. We can take our power back. It's just as simple as this step, right? And then another step. It doesn't take 2 months or 2 weeks to get where we're low, not feeling great. So it's not going to take 2 weeks or 2 days or 2 months to feel awesome. You have to commit to it and thrive. Here's another thing that I want you to ingrain in your minds, and maybe you want to take out your phones or write this down. It's a big one. When you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. That's as simple as life can be, right? We know what we don't want, so we know what we do. And I always think like everything has to be fun, enjoyable. That's why we're living. Love our people. So if you exercise, find some exercising that you like and you can have fun with. Life is as simple as find what makes you happy and do more of it. Today we claim our hurt. Pain is a fact of being. Since the hurt we feel may be part of the experiences that have touched us so deeply, we often will not let it go. We may hold our pain at our sides, where it acts as a shield that keeps us from others and gives us an identity. But that identity may be self-pity, negativity, low self-esteem, unworthiness, and self-sabotage. You deserve joy, laughter, love, affection galore, and compliments. Sidebar, if you give other people compliments or make them feel great, guess what happens? You feel great. So, I think that we are all strong. We can be as healthy as we want to be. Yes, there are challenges, but it's all how we think about it. We can feel lovable, and I think all of that is ours for the taking. So you are enough. There is nothing scarier and harder than looking at yourself honestly. You are resisting it because it's very, very hard. But that's also what makes it worth it and why it is so important. So since this is one of the first times that I get to be in control, do you want to play along with me on something? I thought we would go through a meditation together. Don't be scared. I'm with you. So in the morning, part of my morning mojo is I pray, I meditate, I listen to music, I journal, and then I set my intention for the day. So since this is a wellness expo, our focus is going to be nourishment and nurturing. So if you, can we play some music? All right. So get comfortable, and if you're at home, you don't have to have music. You can literally listen to the heat, a fan, any sound like a tick in your home. So close your eyes. I'll take pauses, but just stay in your own place. Your outer experiences are a reflection of your internal condition. We come together today for the purpose of nourishment and nurturing. As we embrace these words with open minds, know that thoughts will come and know that they will go. All meditations are good. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Your mind is alert. Breathe out. Your spirit is calm and your body is fully nourished. Be kind to yourself. Know that there is power in collective energy of mindfulness when we are together. We have learned that when we stop feeding our fears, our bad habits, they have nothing to thrive on. So many of the parts of our lives that we do not feel happy about are taking, and taking. Those are the things that we have to stop feeding. Nourish and nurture the good habits. And take steps forward with courage and compassion. Breathe in, breathe out. Greet your breath like a friend. Accept who you are. You do not need to be anywhere or anyone else. We take care of the future by taking care of the present. Arriving at your own door is in the remembering, the remembering, the reclaiming of that which you already are and have too long maybe ignored. We have been carried far from home, yet at the same time, we are never further than this breath in this moment. Feed the things that will feed the good and starve the destruction. Feed your light for life, your life with light. As we focus on nurturing and nourishing our bodies and minds, know that you have the ability to choose what best serves you. The nourishment that will cause an energy to sustain you through choices that will build long-lasting goodness over time with consistent clarity, awareness, honesty, self-love, and positivity. You will allow and expand. You can be mindful of your breathing, your walking, your eating, and your relationships. Take a moment to just be where you're at right now. You can open your eyes. You feel better, don't you? Every day, look for something good and embrace it. No matter what emotions arise, recognize them for what they are. Remember when you know you don't want something.